Your wealth will survive decades or silently evaporate. It depends on one thing. Picture two families, each holding what once counted as real savings. One kept a stack of paper bills in a drawer. The other kept land and a handful of gold coins. Decades later, only one family still holds real wealth. That gap is not luck. It is the difference between paper money and hard money. Paper money is not wealth. It is a promise. A piece of paper or a number on a screen that a government says you can trade for goods, as long as everyone agrees to believe it. That belief is the entire foundation. Nothing backs it except trust, and the promise that more of it will not be created without limit. Here's the part most people never stop to think about. Whoever controls the currency controls the printing press. When spending outpaces income, a government can simply create more currency to cover the gap. It costs almost nothing to produce another bill or add another digit to a ledger. Gold cannot be created that way. Neither can farmland. Look across history and you find the same story on repeat. Empires, kingdoms, and nations have all issued their own currencies. And in case after case, that currency eventually lost most of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, the tangible things people once traded it for, land, grain, metal, kept doing what they always did. Think of it like this. A loaf of bread that once cost a handful of coins can end up costing many times more, under a currency that keeps expanding. The bread did not change. The wheat, the oven, the baker's skill, none of that changed. Only the paper lost its footing. This is the core mechanic. When the supply of money grows faster than the supply of real goods and services, each unit of that money buys a little less. Slowly, quietly, the same paycheck stretches over less. That is not a prediction. That is just supply and demand, applied to currency instead of corn. Now, flip the picture. Hard money is anything that is naturally scarce, physically real, and hard to fake or duplicate. Nobody can vote to create more of it overnight. Nobody can add a few zeros to a ledger and double the supply by lunchtime. Its value comes from the fact that it is genuinely limited. Gold is the clearest example. It has to be found, dug out of the earth, and refined. And there is only so much of it on the planet. That scarcity has held true across countless cultures, which is exactly why gold has been recognized as valuable almost everywhere, for as long as people have kept records. Land works the same way. Nobody is manufacturing new farmland out of thin air. A fertile field keeps producing crops, season after season. Currency systems aside. That is why land has quietly built and preserved family wealth across generations. Long after the currency used to buy it has changed form entirely. Hard money is not just gold. Silver, productive real estate, even a well-built home, all share the same trait. They take real effort, real materials, and real time to produce. That effort is exactly what keeps their supply naturally limited and their value naturally durable, no matter what happens to any particular currency. But scarcity alone is not the full answer. Something can be rare and still worthless if nobody wants it. Hard assets hold value because they are also useful. Gold is used in tools and jewelry. Land grows food and holds buildings. Scarcity plus real usefulness is what makes an asset durable, not scarcity by itself. Here is where most people get this wrong, and it is the part worth slowing down for. This is not about predicting collapse or hoarding gold in a basement. It is about a simple allocation principle almost nobody is taught, and it is coming up in just a moment. Paper money runs entirely on trust, and trust has a shelf life. It can be managed carefully for a long stretch, or spent recklessly in a short one. Either way, the currency is a moving target. A tangible asset does not ask you to trust an institution. It simply exists, whether or not anyone believes in it. This pattern shows up again and again across very different societies in very different corners of the world. Whatever the local currency happened to be, the households that also held tangible, scarce assets tended to keep their footing when that currency lost its strength. It is one of the most consistent patterns in economic history. You do not need an empire to see this play out. A family that put savings into a home or productive land tended to end up stronger decades later than a family that kept the equivalent amount sitting only in currency. The house did not care what the currency was worth. It kept sheltering people. None of this means currency is useless. You need it every single day to pay bills, to buy groceries, to keep life moving. The point is not fear, and it is not doom. The point is recognizing that currency is a tool for spending, while hard assets are a tool for preserving. Different jobs, different tools. Here is the piece almost nobody puts together. The goal was never to abandon currency for hard assets, or the other way around. The goal is balance, holding enough of each so that no single failure point can take down everything you have built. That single idea is worth more than any specific asset pick. You might be thinking, hard assets do not pay you interest, and they can be slower to sell than currency in your account. Both are true. That is exactly why they play a different role. Currency and easily traded accounts handle your short-term needs. Tangible, scarce assets protect the portion you are not planning to touch for years. Practically, this means thinking in proportions rather than extremes. Keep what you need for daily life and near-term goals in currency and simple accounts. Direct a portion of your longer-term savings toward tangible, scarce assets you actually understand. The exact split is personal, but the principle of splitting it all is universal. Currencies will keep being created, renamed, and redesigned. That has always been true, and it will keep being true. What does not change is this. Scarcity plus usefulness plus durability is what has protected purchasing power across every era on record. That formula does not expire, no matter what shape money takes next. So here is what you can actually do with this. Look at your own savings and ask honestly, how much of it depends entirely on a currency holding its value, and how much of it is anchored in something tangible and scarce? That one question can reshape how you save from here forward. You now understand why hard money has outlasted paper money in situation after situation. And it comes down to one simple idea. Scarcity and usefulness never go out of style. If you found this useful, subscribe for more breakdowns like it. And tell me honestly, would you rather hold more cash or more hard assets? Drop your answer below.